is that the way Bush has done it over the last 8 years is to take out a credit card from the Bank of China in the name of our children, driving up our national debt from $5 trillion for the first 42 presidents. Number 43 added $4 trillion by his lonesome, so that we now have over $9 trillion of debt that we are going to have to pay back. $30,000 for every man, woman, and child. That's irresponsible. That's unpatriotic.
This has been the fiscally most irresponsible administration that we have seen. I mean, we have increased the national debt, almost doubled it since George Bush took office. It is now over $9 trillion. And that is money that we're all going to have to pay back. Raising the debt ceiling, which has been done over 100 times, does not increase our debt. Congress either give me the authority to raise the debt ceiling or exercise the responsibility that they have kept for themselves and raise the debt ceiling.
We now have over $9 trillion of debt that we are going to have to pay back.
Peter, I want to start with you. Although there are more and more people saying that the U.S. economy will be in a recession next year, it is still a minority position. Why do you think that a recession is coming, and just how bad is it going to be?
I think it's going to be pretty bad, and whether it starts in 07 or 8, I think is immaterial, and I also think it's going to last not just for quarters, but for years.
I was stunned by reading a statement you made in the Banking Committee on September 10th, 2003. In fact, I reprinted the whole thing in my book. I want Americans who hear leaders saying every day, we could have never seen this coming. This was a shock. How did this happen?
I don't think anybody, whether the chairman of the Federal Reserve or the Council of Economic Advisors or other folks, there were very few people who saw the intensity of the housing problem as it broke loose. There were some people.
I want to read what you said 5 years before the collapse. The special privileges granted to Fannie and Freddie have distorted the housing market by allowing them to attract capital that they could not attract under pure market conditions. Like all artificially created bubbles, the boom in housing prices cannot last forever. When housing prices fall, homeowners will experience difficulty as their equity is wiped out. Furthermore, the holders of the mortgage debt will also have a loss. These losses will be greater than they would have otherwise been had government policy not actively encouraged overinvesting in housing. And you go on to say, because so many people will invest in housing, the damage will be catastrophic.
Most of the profits that people have in real estate are going to vanish, just like the profits in the dot-coms in 1999-2000. It's a fantasy. People can't sell their house. The inventories are exploding all over the country. Houses are on the market for 6 months a year. There's no bidders. The price is going to fall through the floor. You guys
So I have no idea what Peter Schiff is talking about. I agree with Tom. I think they're going to be probably up to about 10%. What artificial lending standard are you talking about?
When you see the stock market come down and the real estate bubble burst, all that phony wealth is going to evaporate. And all that's going to be left is all the debt that we accumulated to foreigners.
Peter, I'm going to take a bet with you on this one. I'll bet you a penny on this one that if you'll sign a letter saying that if you're wrong, you'll sign a letter that you were wrong to me in this, but you're just way off base. There is nothing out there that tells us we're going to have a nice slowdown, but it's not going to be a crash.
Let me ask you this.
I'll bet you a lot more than a penny.
We're going to have a collapse. We're going to have an economic collapse. This real crisis is coming. I think we're going to have a sovereign debt crisis, a currency crisis. Right now, everybody is talking about Europe. Europe is the sideshow. The main event is right here in America. We are much more indebted than the countries that share the euro, and we're far less able to pay. It's only a matter of time. Right? Just like the housing bubble couldn't couldn't inflate forever. The NASDAQ bubble couldn't inflate forever. What we've got now is a government bubble, and it can't inflate forever. This crash is coming, and it's probably going to come within the term of whoever wins this next election.
If we've gone from, let's say, 20% government 100 years ago to 80% government now, where are we headed? 100% government, aren't we? And how long will that take? 100% government means totalitarianism.
Do you find in general that people are even, let alone willing, but even able to comprehend that message? Most people think, well, that can't happen here. That doesn't happen in America. This can't happen to us. When you say things like this, do people run away, or do they disbelieve you, or how do you get over that?
Well, some do. There's no question about that. But I find that a lot fewer do it now than used to. And when I first started to talk like this, which was when my book came out in 1994, and I had projected certain trends into the future, all of which have come true now. But that was 18 years ago. People thought I was crazy to be talking about a banking crisis and and the collapse of the purchasing power of the dollar and things like that. What kind of a nut are you? Well, no, we're living through it, aren't we? And so it's easier to say, hey, things are not going well, and we can see that in our lifetime. The chances of there being a great awakening among the masses of the American people in time to avert some very serious consequences, the chances are small, but they're not zero. See, that's the point. And it depends to a large extent on how energetic and successful we are in getting this message out. And it's not just the message about, hey, look how bad things are, but the rest of that message is, why are they that way? Who did that to us? Are they still in positions of power?
We now have over $9 trillion of debt that we are going to have to pay back.